She walked down the crowded school hallway, books clutched tightly to her chest, hoping to disappear into the sea of students, but today wasn't going to be ordinary. A bully had been waiting, eyes cold, fists ready, looking for his next victim in seconds. The laughter started, cruel and sharp, aimed at her skin, her presence, everything that made her different. Fear gripped her chest, every step heavier than the last. And then, just as it seemed things couldn't get worse, he saw something, someone, and froze. Who appeared that could stop a bully in his tracks? And why would a single person change everything in an instant? Her name was Maya, a bright, quiet girl with a love for books and sketching. In the small park near her home, she wasn't the type to seek attention, preferring to glide through the school day unnoticed, blending into the crowd. Teachers admired her focus, classmates respected her kindness, and at home, her parents always reminded her of her strength and dignity. High school life had its challenges, of course, whispers in the hallway, jokes she didn't fully understand, but Maya had learned to navigate them with grace. That morning, like any other, she walked the familiar corridors, headphones in, sketchbook tucked under her arm, unaware that today would be different. A presence lingered nearby, a shadow she didn't notice. Someone who had been waiting for this moment. What started as another ordinary day was about to spiral into fear, humiliation, and a confrontation that would change everything she knew about the world around her. Maya's footsteps echoed softly in the crowded hallway, but one pair of eyes followed her every move. The bully, a senior with a reputation for intimidation, had been waiting near the lockers, leaning casually but with a menace that made the air feel heavy. His friends circled behind him like predators, snickering and whispering, amplifying the tension that wrapped around Maya like a tightening rope. As she passed, he stepped forward, blocking her path. Well, look who thinks she belongs here, he sneered. A shove sent her books tumbling to the floor, papers scattering like fragile wings. Laughter erupted around her, cruel and sharp, and her stomach twisted with humiliation. She tried to gather her things, her hands trembling, heart pounding in her chest, but the bullying didn't stop. Each taunt cut deeper than the last, not just for her, but for every invisible barrier she had overcome to reach this point. It wasn't just physical. Words carried the weight of prejudice, unspoken assumptions that made her feel smaller, as though her skin itself had become a target. Maya's face burned with anger and fear, and for a moment, she considered running, but she knew the hallway would never let her escape, and every step she had taken in her life had taught her resilience. She refused to crumble, even under the sharp eyes and mocking laughter of the crowd. The bully's hand shot out again, this time yanking her sketchbook from her grasp. He flipped it open, smirking as the pages of her private world were exposed to strangers. Look at this, he jeered, all this, for nothing. His friends laughed, but Maya's mind raced. How could he not see the person behind the art, the dignity behind her silence? Every instinct screamed to fight back, but she knew confrontation here could make things worse, could spiral into chaos. Then it happened. A pause in his bravado. His smirk faltered as he looked up, his eyes catching something, or someone, just beyond the crowd. The hallway seemed to hold its breath. Whispers spread like wildfire as students turned, sensing the shift in energy. The bully's confidence wavered, and for the first time that day, fear flickered in his eyes. Maya didn't yet know who had arrived, but something told her this moment would change everything. Would it be the intervention of someone powerful, someone she could rely on, or was this pause a fleeting illusion, a brief reprieve before the storm returned? Every second stretched, heavy with suspense. The whispers grew louder. Eyes locked on the approaching figure. The tension was electric, the air charged with uncertainty. Maya's heart pounded, half in fear, half in hope. This was the turning point. In mere moments, the bully would discover that today, nothing would go as he expected. The hallway fell into a tense hush as the figure stepped forward. It was impossible to ignore. Someone with an authority, a presence that shifted the energy in the room. The bully froze mid-laugh, eyes widening as recognition hit. His bravado, built up over months of cruelty, crumbled in an instant. Maya's chest heaved, heart racing faster than ever. Fear still lingered, but now it mixed with disbelief, hope threading through every pulse. The students around them held their breath, sensing the weight of what was about to happen. The bully had always thrived on intimidation, but now, for the first time, he realized he was powerless. The man's gaze, sharp, commanding, didn't flinch. Slowly, deliberately, he stepped closer. Silence pressed against every wall, and for a fleeting moment, Maya felt the gravity of the world shift. Every insult, every shove, every mocking glance was swallowed by this single confrontation. The bully's friends stepped back, unsure, uneasy, watching as the man's presence erased their sense of control. Time seemed to stretch as the truth settled over the hallway like a thundercloud. The bully's face drained of color, his stance faltering. He had underestimated the consequences, the reach, The authority of someone who would not tolerate injustice. In that moment, Maya felt a surge of relief, but also a profound awareness of how fragile safety can be, how easily cruelty can dominate until confronted. And then, as the tension peaked, the bully stumbled backward, the weight of realization pressing down harder than any shove ever could. The hallway erupted, not in mockery, but in astonished whispers. Maya's gaze met the man's, and a silent understanding passed between them. This confrontation had changed everything, but would it be enough to stop the cycle? Would the lessons of this moment ripple beyond these walls, or was it a fleeting victory in a world that too often ignored injustice? The hallway slowly returned to its usual rhythm, but nothing felt ordinary anymore. Maya picked up her scattered books, hands still trembling. Yet this time with a quiet strength she hadn't felt before. The presence of her father, his calm authority and unwavering stance, had shifted everything. The bully no longer carried the power to define her, to humiliate her, or to make her doubt her worth. In that single moment, fear gave way to a sense of justice, not just for Maya, but for the countless others who had endured similar cruelty in silence. Yet, the story didn't end with relief. The incident lingered in her mind, a reminder of how quickly assumptions, prejudice, and cruelty could surface, and how vital courage and support were in confronting them. Maya's father had done more than stop a bully. He had sent a message to the entire school, and to anyone who might witness injustice, that accountability matters. As Maya walked home later that day, she carried a new understanding of strength. She realized that power is not in fear or intimidation, but in standing up, speaking out, and protecting those who are vulnerable. And while the world would continue to challenge her, she now knew that resilience and courage could reshape even the most threatening moments. Stories like Maya's are not isolated, they echo in hallways, classrooms, and streets across the country, in communities that still wrestle with racial bias and discrimination. The question is not whether injustice exists, it does, but what each of us is willing to do when we see it. Will we turn away, or will we act? Will we remain silent, or will we rise to make a difference? The choice defines not only the outcome of a single moment, but the legacy of how we confront the world around us.